Hey, Wanda, how we looking? Are we letting people in? Are we live yet? I need to get a countdown so I can know where we are. Is Tony on?
We have 42 people that's now in the room, and we are Facebook Live.
Is Tori on?
Yes, Tori is here.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Tori, and I'm a junior at Durga Mashu Academy here in Ward 8. Welcome to today's Youth Public Safety meeting. Councilman White's office put this meeting together to get ideas from young people related to addressing violence in our ward and throughout DC. Violence has increasingly begun to impact more and more young people, so we as young people need to be a part of the solution. Councilman White is drafting a major plan on violence, and he wants the ideas of young people to be included. We know that issues such as lack of after-school programs, recreation, poverty, housing, and other issues contribute to violence. The plan is designed to offer recommendations and solutions on these issues to help make our ward safer for everyone, especially young people. Everyone will have a chance to participate in this meeting, so begin to think about ideas that you can make DC safer and help young people be successful. Now we will hear from Councilman.
Thank you so much, Tori, and I appreciate your leadership. For those who don't know, we've had an extensive amount of dialogue and conversation in and around violence. And I think that for the last year was we've seen some very dark times. I've attended a lot of funerals, but also I've attended a lot of funerals of women and children. We had 922 people shot in the district, but people don't want to talk about it. People don't even want to mention those numbers. They like to, mention the lowest number, which is 198 homicides. With a lot of lives was derailed. A lot of families broken up. A lot of people lost their job. A lot of people became traumatized by the gunshots and victims of violence in our community. And so what I did not see in the conversation and the dialogue was young people. I think they have a very vital role in seeing that and being a part of the solution, because oftentimes adults see youth and young adults as problems, but they are greatest asset. If you want to know where society is going, all you have to do is go back and take a look at the children, and our children are hurting. They're going through a lot of things. They're going through a lot of pain, and may not have the tools or wraparound services to deal with it. And so tonight is an opportunity to hear from the youth. I see we have a number of adults on here. And we want to facilitate the conversation to hear, but it's really about hearing from them, getting some of their suggestions, because reality is we don't live in their world. I know it was trouble for me growing up, but guess what? I didn't grow up in the social media age where beefs were happening through Instagram or Facebook or Twitter or FaceTimes. We're in some unique times, and where we have to put on our thinking caps and our listening ears to hear as they advise us on what to do. We've had several conversations with Linda Holly Hopper, Director Dale McFadden. We have conversations with Carl Racine, other council members, and even the mayor. I did a call for the mayor to declare the violence in our community as a public health emergency. And she did just that. And also she put $15 million into it. But now it's our time to put the meat on the bones, because the greatest asset to the community are the people. And we must never forget that. As elected officials, as community leaders, each and every day we wake up to represent the people of Washington, D.C. And so we have to listen, we have to be proactive, and we have to have vision. There's an old scripture that says, where there's no vision, the people perish. And right now our people are perishing. We are in the middle of a pandemic, and even in that, we see that we are hurting even more, especially in the Black and brown communities. So today, I'm happy that you all are joining in on the conversation. We want to hear from you. We've reached out to a lot of the nonprofit communities. We will continue to do that because we have to push the resources and innovation and money and wraparound services deep down into the community where it's needed the most. And sometimes government is not the end-all be solution to addressing the issues in our community, because it comes up from the grassroots. And so I'm happy to join you all today. So I'll turn it back over to Tori, and we'll see what's next. Thank you. God bless.
Thank you. Now we'll hear from Nathan Fleming, who works for Councilmember White, who is working on the strategic plan.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Nate Fleming. I'm happy to see everybody here gathered today for this third meeting as it relates to Councilmember White's comprehensive public safety strategic plan. And the idea for the plan is to make short-term, medium-term, and long-term recommendations that can address violence in the ward. So our idea is to have several of these sessions with various groups, youth, seniors, educators, nonprofits, the mayors, etc., to get ideas and recommendations for what we put in the plan. The plan will have different areas aligned with different problems that are impacting the ward, such as education, housing security, youth engagement, recreation, etc. So we want your ideas for what we can put in this plan, for what we can recommendations we can make, what ideas. We want to know from you, what do you think can help? What are some of the biggest problems? So that's the goal of this particular meeting, is to get the ideas and the feedback from you. And we want everybody to participate. So what will we be doing next in this meeting is getting everybody into breakout rooms. And in these breakout rooms, there'll be a facilitated discussion. And we're going to be asking everybody 2 questions. One, the first question will be, what ideas do you have that can help to reduce violence in Ward 8 and DC? So we want to hear from everybody as it relates to their ideas on reducing violence in Ward 8 and DC. And then our second question is just as important, because we know that there's some things that the leadership, people like Councilmember White, can do to improve violence. But there's some things that we as a community, we as young people, we as young adults can be doing to improve our community and to reduce violence in Ward 8 and DC. So the second question is, what can the community itself commit to doing to reducing violence in Ward 8 and DC? So before we go on to this next phase of the meeting, can we get everybody to turn on their cameras? Because we want to make sure that we put the young people in the room with other young people. So everybody, can you take this time to turn on your camera? And we want no one to be shy. We want everyone to participate, particularly our young people. So it's no idea is a bad idea. No thought is a bad thought. Every recommendation, we're going to take it seriously and then put the everything into the taking us into our rooms to have our discussions.
Yes, thank you so much, Nate, for that. It's going to take a little bit longer. We weren't expecting as many adults that we have on the line. So some of the young people have already assigned you. So once I open up, you'll go into your room. And as you're in your room, begin to look at who will be able to report out. When you come out, we will want someone from your group to report out. There will be adults that stand on this main page, and we will have a discussion with those on the main page. So if everyone's ready, I'm gonna go ahead and open up the room.
Rhonda, one second. So yes, thank you for saying that. We want each a representative from each room to just speak on something that may have happened, your feelings, your reactions from your meeting, and then each group's coordinator will complement whatever was said by summarizing the rest of the discussion in the room. So each coordinator, make sure you identify one person that's willing to say something, particularly a youth, and then you can complement what they say with the rest of the notes from what happened in your group. And all group leaders, remember to take notes because the notes are the most important part.
Okay, I'm breaking up the rooms now, so stand by. Okay, people should be going into their rooms now. Okay, great. If I'm missing any young adults, then let me know. I can definitely assign you. I don't want to assume that that you're young. So I think I'm sorry. Okay, I'm gonna put you, Mr. Hemsley. Okay, give me a second. Let me get you into a room.
Can you sign me too, please?
Okay, Miss Bill, I'm assigning you now. Give me a second.
Can you assign me too, please?
Okay, give me one moment. Okay, and I just heard the last voice was who was that? Lee? Was that Larry Smith?
Yes.
Okay, Larry, I'm assigning you to a room now.
Hello, Wanda.
Just
Okay.
one moment, please.
Can you sign me too?
Okay, who was that last person?
Yes, this is Lamar Hanna from Far Southeast. I was just wondering if you can put me in a room with the younger crowd so that way I can get those concerns so we can kind of tailor some of our programs towards what their concerns are.
Well, right now we want just the young people in the room, so just stand by for a
Yes,
second.
ma'am.
I have a question. What age considered as youth?
We were up to 25.
Oh, okay, well, I'm 19. I'm not sure if I'm in the room, but if not, can I be in the room? Thank you.
So who is that speaking? Hall. Okay, just one second. Got it.
Leave out of this room. It's just only a
No, you
discussion.
can stay in. If you're an adult, you can stay in this room.
Okay.
Excuse
Okay.
me, can I get in the room?
And who was that speaking?
It's Dewan Hemsley. I'm
Okay.
a child.
You're a young man. Just one second. Let me get you in the room.
Youth coming out tonight. I like it.
I
Yeah.
love
gonna say,
it.
I'm
And look,
glad you spoke up, young man, young teen.
depending on the law, you might
Self-advocating.
sometimes you have an advantage to be a child.
Okay, Mr. Hemsley should be in the room. Did I miss anyone else? Any young adults that I
You
missed?
also put me in a room as well. And I think Tati.
Yes, indeed. Yes, let me get you in a
There's a
room.
couple in the chat too.
Okay, give me a second. I just lost a person that was asking to go into a room. Let me see who's in the chat that I need to get in the room. Jules, if you can tell me who's in the chat, I can put them in a room.
Hi, can you let me in the room?
Yes, ma'am, I will.
There's a Shannon Page I saw as well, looking to get into a room. I saw that popular.
Okay, let me get Miss Randolph in a room. Okay, Miss Randolph should be in a room now. Yep.
Okay. Do you want me to give you the names from the chat, Miss Lockridge?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Okay, Michael Johnson.
Michael Johnson. Okay, let me get Michael Johnson. Okay, Michael Johnson is now being assigned.
Tati.
Tanti.
Tati. T-A-T-I.
Okay, Tati is being assigned to a room now.
Tasha.
Tasha, I saw you just a second ago, Tasha. Okay, Tasha is being assigned to a room.
Shannon Page.
Shannon Page.
Yes.
Got her. Okay, she is being. Let me get her. Whoops. Okay, she's been assigned.
I believe this is Atreyu Lee.
Yes, that's how you pronounce it.
Okay, and can you confirm if you're oh there you are. Okay. Atreyu needs to be assigned?
Atreyu Lee.
Atreyu Lee, yes.
Yeah, okay. She's been assigned now. Okay.
MJ Bailey.
MJ Bailey. Got him. Okay, or let's see. Let's go ahead and okay, great. Anyone else? Are we missing any other young person?
Yes.
Yeah, Wanda, there's an Antonio Thompson that's waiting to be let into the meeting.
Oh, okay. Let me let them in. There are a few people, yes. Let me get them all in. It looks like these are mostly adults coming in.
Okay, I have some more people to be assigned as well.
I'm ready when you are.
Shayna Druckman.
Okay.
Okay, and that is all that I have in the chat. If there's any other youth or students that need to be to go with the youth or students, if you want to drop your name in the chat, raise your hand or vocalize it now, that'd be great. So youth is anyone under the
Even
age
if
of
you want to get
25.
Okay. So it looks like everyone here are adults.
I need to go
Wonderful.
to the breakout room to retrace.
Oh, oh, you want to go into a breakout room, Tori?
Yes.
Okay. You are on your way there. Give me a second, Tori. Let me get you there.
I timed out. Can you tell me what the different breakout rooms are?
So one breakout room is going to focus on youth and students. We're going to ask the same questions in each breakout room, but we wanted to get the youth and students in one room so we could have a collective voice from as a student to be transferred. Thank you, Monet.
Wanda, Antonio Thompson is saying he's in, but he's not in the breakout room.
Okay, let me get him. Antonio Thompson, I have him here. Okay. Warren, okay. Monet, okay. You are now. What did I do there? Want to make sure I have her in the room. Okay, I believe she's in the room now. Okay, so we're going to have a discussion here. I just want to make sure everyone is now in a room that should be in a room. Are there any young people on the current list that hear my voice need to be in a room? If not, Jules, you want to go ahead and get started?
Before we get
Let me
started.
ask this.
Yes, sir.
Who's facilitating the rooms with the young people?
We have 5 staff people in each room. We have Kyle, we have Nate, we have Yakir, we have Wendy, and we have Tori.
So we should put some adults in each of the rooms so we can hear the concerns of the young people instead of all adults just being in one room.
Okay. I know one of them basically wanted to talk just among young people. And we were having a discussion with the adults, but if that's what you'd like to do, I can put maybe 1 or 2 in the room.
Sure.
Okay, let me ask any adult that want to go into. I know there was one from Far Southeast. Who was the one from Far Southeast that wanted to go?
Yes, ma'am. My name is Lamont. I
Okay,
wanted to go to the room with the younger kids just so I can hear what they're thinking so that we can kind of tailor some programs and things of that nature towards their concerns.
Man, I'm Danye
Okay,
Bradley. I
okay.
had the same concern.
Just 1 second. Let me get Lamont in here. So give me a moment. Okay, Lamont, I'm getting ready to put you now.
Thanks, Juan.
You're absolutely welcome. Okay. And there was another
Danye
adult.
Bradley, and I just want to get in and hear the concerns. I'm not gonna say nothing. I just want to see where I can be helped.
What's the last name? Bradley?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, just 1 second.
Thank you.
I also
You're
wanted to do the same thing.
1 second. Let me just get one at a time, please, so I make sure I get everyone.
Hey, Julie, while Wanda's putting everyone in the room, I know that the strategic plan is coming out. I think it's on May. Let me go back. I think it's on May. I have to jump in at 6:30 call. Are there going to be notes regarding this particular session and then the one before?
Yeah, so I think you were on the call the last time, and so Nate in the office is putting together the strategic plan of all of them. So all of the group sessions will the moderator will be taking notes and then coming back to the main room to share those thoughts and ideas to everyone, and then it's going to be put into a brief.
I heard another voice that wanted to go into a room.
Yes, Axia T.
Wait, one at a time, please. I can't hear everyone. Can you raise your hand so I can just see your hands? Okay, Regina, let me get you in a room. And I see another hand. I see you. Yep. You know, I'm not going to, I think Robin, because you know, Robin, I going to get you in a room. Okay. And I see Karen and Frank and Natalie, I think. Okay, and we're going to get those three. Then we're going to go ahead and get started with a conversation here and Frank. So that's it. We don't want more adults in the room than we have.
Get me to the room, please.
Yes,
I see
sir.
a hand up too. I see Latrina.
Yep, I have all of their hands. I'm getting ready to put you in that room now.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Mr. Council Member.
He's no longer with us. He's in a break.
Oh, hey Wanda, tell him I said hi.
I definitely will.
I'm just listening. I tried to get Lauren on. Lauren said she didn't want to get on, so I'm gonna listen on her behalf.
Wonderful.
Okay.
I think I have 3 more people to get in the room, and then we're gonna get started. These last 5. So, Jules, if you want to go ahead and get started while I get these, and after these 5, there's going to be no more. We have 5 rooms, and there are already 2 adults in each room, and we don't want to overpower that.
Yeah, so everyone I see so many different hands up, so hopefully I'll be able to decipher who wants to make a response. The first question for tonight's session is going to be, what ideas do you have that can help reduce and prevent violence in Ward 8 and throughout the district? And so rather than just taking hands, if someone wants to jump out there, because I see a lot of hands that are up.
I believe these hands are up to go into a room.
Right. So if anyone has any thoughts there on what ideas, throw out some ideas, because again, we're going to put together a strategy document to present and make some changes to. So I heard a voice. We can go ahead and I'll take that voice for the first one.
Yes, that's me, Lynette Preston. I kind of didn't get to answer the question last time we had our focus group, so I'm happy I get a second chance.
Come on, let's go. And if you can tell me what organization you represent, if you can, so I can make a note of that.
Sure. The gold standard.
Got it.
And
Thank you.
then also Panther Guardians PTO for Johnson Middle School.
Okay.
But I think that some great focus, extracurricular focus, but broad sports, arts, architecture, business. But I feel like too often we try to get those focus groups to get every kid, as opposed to a nice focus group of students that they can follow from middle through high. And I think it provides the students with a little more direct attention and then consistent attention, and then not trying to get students to do something that they really aren't interested in. But if the scope is broader, then we can reach more students instead of trying to find a kind of cookie cutter resolution for every kid. The kids are different, just like adults are different. So I think our focus needs to change.
Got it. And when you say the scope to be broader, what do you mean specifically by that?
Just that more so different focuses, different areas of interest.
So you mentioned
like
arts,
one
you mentioned
specific
business.
organization that that works with kids that are interested in agriculture.
Okay.
And then another organization that works with students that are sports driven.
Okay.
Then a different organization that works with students that are interested in theater arts.
I understand.
And
Got
somebody
it.
completely different that does visual arts. You see what I mean?
Thank you. So you're saying a broader extracurricular focus, and
Absolutely.
using and in kind of tracking those groups, having those smaller focus groups of students to follow them from middle school to high school.
Correct.
Thank you. And so I'll repeat the question again, unless someone remembers it, so that we can go again. And I'll take the second question. I'll take a second response. What can what ideas do you have to help reduce that violence?
Can I respond to? I just want to piggyback off what was just said. I think that is a great idea. In DC, we often hear that we are resource rich and collaboration poor. And there's a lot of oversaturation because it seems like a lot of the programs are tailored towards what can get the money, or what can get the grant, or what can get our organization the contract. And it's often a lot of cliche things that isn't always of interest to all youth. And we know that, participation in things changes the entire scope of not only the youth, but their peer group and their families. We were running at one point an alternative education league, where we saw that students who were disengaged in school, in night schools, GD programs, committed youth, all types of youth that are kind of like out of the threshold of being engaged in your normal scholastic out of school time activities that wasn't available to them anymore based on their school status,
Okay.
whether they're in a credit recovery program, things of that nature. And then we also added a media program for the students who necessarily didn't have an interest in playing this game, but wanted to be around the game and wanted to take some of those other avenues as a career side, like a career in sports or a career in media, using the sports as the carrot. So I just wanted to piggyback off that. And I think that's something that's a great recommendation for our city.
And Mr. Peterson, what organization do you represent?
Well, right now I'm representing the Criminal Justice Coordinating Council. So I've been trying to tune in. I really appreciate Councilmember White for having these forums. I was tuned in on the DYS hearing earlier this morning, and we are making policy recommendations currently. I'm sorry, I'm at my son's soccer practice, so I have the mask on.
No, you're fine.
But we're making policy recommendations right now to the city as a follow-up to our root causes on juvenile justice system involvement. And I think that, hearing things from the people, as Councilman White often says, hearing things from the youth themselves is the only way to go, really.
Absolutely.
So
Thank you.
I'm trying to, get involved and try to bring some of what the people have to say back to what our agency focus of work and scope of work will become.
Thank you so much, Mr. Peterson. Can I take another person?
Yes, I would like to say something. Good evening, everyone.
Okay. Hello. And can you just let me know your name and what organization you represent?
Yes, ma'am. Stanley Jones, Alliance of Discernment.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Jones.
Yes, I wanted to say that I believe it's very important for us to introduce and capitalize on the concept of conflict resolution in schools. Um, Often, and when I say that, I'm saying that we integrate as a, you know, how we have a plethora of different electives. Our communities have special needs or whatnot, or whatever the case may be. This should be a elective that, not even necessarily an elective, just something that is mandatory.
So
That
like a
each kid,
prerequisite.
yeah, at some point during high school career, either we started either in middle school or high school, but point throughout their academic career, especially in those ages once they hit preteens and established teenagers, they actually go in and they take those courses in high school and or junior high school, middle school. And the reason why I say schools is because for 8 hours a day or however long it is, 8 hours a day, we actually have those kids in an environment where we don't have to do a lot of chasing them around. A lot of times we go back to the community and we're trying to put the programs in the community, which is great. However, the extra work involved in that requires us to try to get those kids to that those events. At least for school, don't get me wrong. We have issues with kids not showing up or whatever the case may be. So you're always going to have a level of attendance issues. However, at least with the school, for the most part, that's mandatory in which they have to go to. So I believe we'll get a better attendance, for lack of a better words. Now, when we get them in there, us having them in one place, we can dish out that conflict resolution training to them in the schools, and hopefully that will assist them when they go back into the community. So I just think that we need to capitalize on the days and the hours that they're in school, them being there for 6-7 hours a day, and us having them in actual bunches instead of us having to kind of run around and chase them in the community, and we bring that conflict resolution curriculum into the schools.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. I'll take another person. So the question is, what can we do? What ideas do we have that can help reduce and prevent violence here in Ward 8 and also throughout the district? We can take one more and then we can keep it moving. I do have a second question if no one wants to take an attempt at that, but does anyone else have anything to offer there in terms of some ideas?
Yeah, I do. Can you hear me okay?
Yes. Hi, Ms.
Great.
Carter.
Hi. So I would like to see, sort of piggybacking on the first person said and the last person said, a more wraparound approach to bringing young people into the arts. A lot of the schools, most of the schools don't have art. They don't have painting, drawing, pottery. They definitely don't have it. And I'd like to see that those options be available to our young people in elementary school. So if they choose to, they can continue it through middle school and on through high school. So if you pick up a clarinet in elementary school, you should be able to join a band in middle school and keep that going through high school. Same thing with the theater arts. The young people should get that introduction in elementary school and be able to follow that through middle school on to high school. The other thing I'd like to see brought back into the school system are the thing they call vocational arts.
I'm sorry, what was it?
To build.
Ms. Carter, what was that you said?
I like to see the vocational
okay.
Opportunities brought back into the high school where they're learning how to, build a house or lay brick or fix a car. I know they have that at Baloo, which is another thing. Baloo High School actually has very nice theater set up there. They have a black room, dressing rooms, costume shop, and also a shop where you can actually build set pieces. But it's not user friendly. so the community can't come in and use it. So I'd like to see us taking more advantage of the resources that we have for the young people. So if some of these principals would lighten up a little bit and let the grassroots organizations in to, do what they do best. So I like to see that whole wraparound approach. And finally, the last thing I like to see is I like for every year for Ward 8 to have a conference where we're bringing these organizations to the table and looking at how, not looking at, but actually putting partnerships together to provide wraparound services for these young people, especially our young people who are couch surfing or just ankle monitored. The saddest thing I see is when I go down to the juvenile courts to advocate for our young people is when they're 13 and 14 and 15 years old and an ankle monitor. And as we're walking down the corridor to the courtroom, they point out their artwork to me. Miss Carter, look, I drew that. It's on the wall on the court system, but you can't. I'm getting emotional. Excuse me. But you can't find their artwork inside the schools. I'm going to turn off then.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Carter.
Before we go any further, we had some additional people to sign in. Are there any young adults, youth that just recently signed in? If so, please raise your hand and I can assign you to a room. Or you can speak up.
Yeah, or maybe
put
we can
something
keep
in
them in this room, right? Because I think some of our adults do want to hear from young people as well. So if we have any young people, anyone 25 and younger in the room, we do want to hear a response from you as well. So the question on the table is, what ideas do you have that can help reduce and prevent violence in Ward 8 and in just throughout the city? Ms. Lockridge, I'm not sure what we're doing with time. We are at 6:40, so I do want to make sure I have time to get to the second question.
Yeah, 10 minutes on the clock. Actually, 10 minutes and 18 seconds.
Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to question number 2. Question number 2 is, what can the community commit to? What can the community commit to doing to help the ward become a safer place? Don't make me start calling people by name.
This is Overseer Dr. Ann Coles, and I'm from Kingdom Life Outreach Center. I think from a realistic point of view, communication, we don't talk to one another. You there. One of the things in working with those in the community, being a pastor, the one thing that obstacle is that they don't want to trust those that work with the government, because so many have tried to, and the families end up being separated, which brings on more trauma. So I think involvement with each other on a one-on-one and start developing trusting relationships and working with them from a realistic point of view. They get tired of going to programs and filling out applications, and they put on a wait list, or they're given a list, and those programs don't really work.
And Dr. Coles, not to cut you off, but real quick, when you say they, what target audience are you referring to specifically, so I can make sure I note that?
I'm talking about as a family as a whole.
Okay.
When I work with them, I work with the parents and the children.
Okay.
Because they're all frustrated.
So we're talking about just individuals that are in this kind of this system, this circulating system.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And so we're talking about really building those interpersonal relationships and establishing that trust and communication, and really making that commitment to do so.
Right. And I think it would be easier if the faith organizations would really step up, because we can be that mediator between the community and, let's just say, government, and keep them out of harm's way sometimes.
Thank you very much. Again, what can we offer? What commitment can the community what can the community commit to provide some resolution here and make the ward a better place? I know I see a lot of nods to some of the comments that are being made. So please jump out there and let's talk.
I'm gonna jump out there. How y'all doing? I'm James Wood. I work with Councilmember Trayon White.
Can you come on camera?
essentially we're saying my camera is actually messed up right now.
Okay.
I'm getting that fixed later on. But what I think that we missing from me growing up in the war, from being a high risk, and being in a high risk area, it's just they being left out. The youth are feeling like they being left out. It's like the government agencies come in, start something, and then they don't finish it. Like it was a lot of programs that I was in, East of the River Community Police Partnership, that made a heck of an impact on my life. So it's like they just need that big. If they get that big sister commitment that I had growing up in the war, then everything would be different. Like taking them on here and there, like on retreats, like not just retreats to like get away, but retreats, education retreats, finance retreats, like stuff that had them thinking, oh, it's bigger than just being in the neighborhood, or it's bigger than just being in a block on a block, or just because that older guy is selling drugs or something, I don't have to be like him. There's so many different ways that it can be approached, but it's just commitment. That's the biggest thing that the youth have problems with. The adults don't commit to them, and then it leaves them frustrated when they come in a community and try to restructure the community, but not really helping because they in and out of it.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Wood. Miss Martin, I think you were getting ready to say something.
Yes, good evening. When I was growing up, we had a lot of programs. I mean, at the recreation center, I learned how to sew. I mean, you could always go to a recreation center where they had programs. We don't have any that. Even my kids growing up, they had the police department used to have camps in the summer for the kids. They should take the kids to different little stuff. Because some kids over in Ward 8 have never even been in another ward. Only thing they know is Ward 8. We need to get them out and go to Virginia, let them see other things besides just Ward 8. The programs they had when my kids were little, they're all gone. They all were defunded. And so we need to put more money back into like the police camps. My kids had a ball. My daughter had a ball. And even when I had a daughter that was, coming over from, over here, being the only girl with two brothers, she struggled a lot. She had mentors. When she met one of the mentors when she was in at the camp at the police camp in Wards, at the 7th District, and she still stayed in contact with her. If she had something she couldn't talk to me, having somebody else she could talk to that has your back and understand you besides your parents. But sometimes, they think, oh, you old, I was an older mother. And she could always go to this police officer who was like a godmother to her and talked about things that she couldn't talk to me, and which I couldn't understand. You know what I'm saying? I'm not on social media. So she was able to relate to certain things that's going on, and we need to bring that back in, being mentors, you know what I'm saying? Staying on top of these kids, following them through junior high to high school, staying on board, making sure they're doing so, coming up to school, being on them. She used to come to school. She thought my daughter wasn't doing it. She ain't here for a while. She would come up the blue and like, what you doing? What's going on? You okay? Just checking on these kids. We leave these kids out here by themselves, and they really lost. They don't want to do anything, but where do you take all that frustration? You take it to the streets, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think, Ms. Martin, I think I think you speak for a lot of us who feel like there's this lack of commitment, and we all kind of know exactly what it means. If you let a youth down, you let a student down, you say, I'm going to be there, and you don't show up, that, that one misstep, that one mistrust, really has lasting effects on them. So we're definitely
also
make sure
too, you'll have a program one year that's real good, and the kids really like it when to go back. When it's time to go back the next year, oh, we don't have no money.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, so they thinking they're gonna go back. They like, we see you next, next summer or next whatever, and they go back. No, it's funny. So it's the disconnect goes.
Yes.
You know, so where am I going back to this same program?
Yeah, I want to speak on that too.
Hold on. I'm sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
One moment. We just have 2 minutes left, so I do want to see if we can get another voice in the room that we haven't heard from. So we have 2 minutes. The question is, what can we commit as a community? What can we commit? So if we can take one more person to talk about what commitment we can make, let's go ahead and offer that now.
Well, we can commit to creating more rec centers and demanding a lot of these developers that are coming in. I mean, we provide so much free housing. We need to also provide free recreation and citizenship skills and things of that nature for our young, because they have no place to go. That's the bottom line. And I'm a native Washingtonian, and I've been here all 64 years of my life. And I can tell you, it has really deteriorated on having options for young people to go to. The same way they can get their parents and all, or we can get free housing, they can create rec centers where it's mandatory that one parent have to attend or periodically show up to do different things. And then the kids, the young people, they have to go, you know, just like the Y or Boys and Girls Club, they have to go. They have to have tutorials about how to be a good citizen, what's good, what's right. Because a lot of parenting is not happening at home. I'm going to tell you right now, because I live right here in the hood, and I'm going to tell you, people are not parenting their children. They are not giving them guidelines. They're not giving them boundaries. They're not giving them foundation. And sometimes going out to a rec center or one of these programs or things of that nature, that's where a lot of these youth will get that. We have made it too convenient and complacent for people to receive the resources and monies to survive. But it's not just putting a roof over your head, food in your stomach, and clothes on your back. It's also a nurturing process of development, social development within the community and within society. So you have to start with them young, and you have to continue. We need consistency. Like the young lady was saying, Miss Martin, she said, they fund one year and don't fund the next. Why? That's what we need to commit to. We need to have that consistency and funding. I pay taxes, so I expect for my taxes to be used for my community. But when it comes to these developers providing tax credit programs and housing, it's also we need to demand that these developers invest in our community, help create rec centers, and not just like where I'm at now. They have a little rec center that can only house 13, 14 people. It's over 300 to 400 units here that this developer has. How you have playground or a sitting area or a little park area for this complex for the kids to be able to do something in their community.
Understood. So what you're saying is
there's a lot of people don't want their kids going to a rec center or something. They need to
appreciate your comment. Thank you very much. It looks like we're having folks come back into the room to participate in the information sharing from the small group. So thank you so much for this main room participating. And I'll let Nate take back over.
Yeah, Nate should be coming out of room now. Everyone should be coming back in at this point. All rooms are now closed. And we will hear from the young people and the young adults in terms of what they discussed in their breakouts. I'm going to ask everyone if they can put themselves on mute. And if you have questions, if you can put yourself on mute, please, Regina. If you can mute yourself, I've got it. I'm muted. if you have questions, I'm going to put everyone hands down right now, just so that we're not confused as to any new questions. And if you have questions throughout the remaining of the program, please feel free to raise your hand, use the chat feature or the question and answer feature, which we do not have this evening. So disregard that last piece. But the chat and raise your hand will be great.
So Wanda, my group, I think can go first. We had two young people that really pulled the weight for our group. Jemiah Bell and Dewan. So Jemiah and Dewan will just speak a little bit about what we talked about, and I'll add anything that they didn't add. So Jemiah.
Okay. We talked a lot about like how we could like solve a lot of teen beef or like violence. So we talked about like how we could do like rec centers and like during the rec centers we could have things that a lot of teens or kids might be like interested in. And we also talking about giving a voice to younger kids, like kids doing like 12 to like 15, giving them a voice to speak about how they feel. And we also talked a lot about like a way for us to like come together and like speak on things, you know.
And we also talk about having more after school programs for cut out the beef in the neighborhoods.
Yep. Thank you, Dewan and Jemiah. A lot about what we talked about was about realizing that a lot of the beefing is neighborhood beefs, and the neighborhood beefs are starting at a younger age. Dewan's in the 9th grade, and he said that 7th and 8th grade is where he saw a lot of things change, and he thought that finding ways like and camps for young people from across the city to get to know each other better is a way to kind of mitigate some of the beefing. We also talked about social media being a driving force and people needing to get more skills in how to deal with when they're slighted or when they feel angry or when they feel someone has disrespected them, how to respond to that in a more positive way. We cannot with we can try to equip people.
All right, so we went over. I think that was a very productive, however long it was, but it was very productive. So one of the main things I think we said, one was getting people to see people more than just where they're from. So getting people more. So if I'm from somewhere around Johnson and somebody's from Deuce or something like that, getting to know them more than just where they from. So we can do that in ways like having these programs, because I know for a lot of us, programs such as football, cooking, singing, dancing, drawing, no matter what it is, people got different hobbies that break them from, how do I say, from their problems, basically. Whether it's a broken household, the street, whatever it is, I think we should have more things so people can know each other better. And another thing, not have it be ran completely and fully taken control of by adults. Because then, as a kid, that makes it seem like we're being forced to do this. And it's not really something I'll be looking forward to do every time it's time to go. I'm not going to be really excited to go. And I feel like we should make it so that it's an atmosphere where kids are telling kids to come and like, yo, I like this place, this and that. We need to have more of this. Like, it shouldn't feel so, what's the word?
Contrived. Or
Yeah. Comprised. So it's not like we're all just forced to do one thing we're not forcing this on somebody, letting people have their escape so they can do what they need, what they want and need to do to escape whatever bad situation they're coming from. Or even if they just want to do something to have time consuming so they don't end up in the bad place. And one main way we can do that is letting children's voices be heard with stuff like that. Of course, you're going to need it, adults to lay their foundation and stuff like that. But once the foundation is laid, adults should only be there for monitoring. Yes, I can't speak English. Yeah, so it feels like we're running it and we're do it whenever it is.
So I'll add and to what Dayon said. Ultimately, what we brought up was everything he just said, but also that we had discussions about family events so that help build better families. Having events with parents and their children to help them come together and help build support. In addition, they mentioned, like he said, peer-to-peer events, actually thinking about developing like a council that can help with social media for programs, help them implement programs, but also help to disseminate those information about those programs so that kids can pass that along through social media for things that they have help develop as well. Also peer-to-peer, I want to call it therapy sessions, but pretty much having spaces.
All right, I believe Cheyenne Group wants to go next.
Okay, I was the facilitator for the group. We had Cheyenne, Monet, Ramal, Tori, and Mr. Bradley. So Cheyenne wants to speak. Go ahead, Cheyenne.
So for Mrs. Hiki group, we had basically talked about what are some things that we could do in the community. Not only the things that we can do in the community, but what things need to be done. So I'm going to quote from a few of my teammates from the community, be more present and more let there be more activities, basically. As I don't know how to pronounce his name. I know his last name is Preston. He basically said that we need to add more activities as well, keep people off the streets. And I think that youth are really impressionable because this is stuff around us in the community. Like we could have a good family right now, but I could go outside and there's people around me saying, if you don't do this or do that, I'm gonna kill you and this and that. So I also said youth can be more impressionable. I just said that. Monet from my group has said, use social media to spread the message of decreasing violence. Basically, we are all youth, and I know all of us have a social media page, and we use social media almost every day. So for us just to email each other saying, oh, do this, do that, it will not be more effective. We don't check our emails every day, but we do check our Instagram. So we can make up flyers and tell each other what's happening in the neighborhood. And there are Instagram pages for that as well. Monet also said we can do a reward to turn in firearms. I think that is already a thing, but they have said turn in firearms for reward. I know most of the youth would like rewards and incentives to be doing things. So my other teammate, Tori Chase, has said healthy relationships are important and teachers are claiming places of work. I had a lot of teachers say, I'm here to teach you. I'm not here to break up your fights. And we could say that teachers could be more participating. Like I had a teacher, I recall in Milton Elementary, she had lost a baby because due to a fight, she was breaking it up. I could see how you are saying, I'm here to teach you, I'm not here to break up your fights. But if it's outside the school, I know it's not your place to be doing this. But how would you feel if you just watch your son get shot at in a neighborhood? You would do something about it. I also said use your weapons for what's right. Myself as a female, I do carry a knife with me at all times when I'm outside without my family because there's some wild stuff happening. I'm sure most of you, are familiar with the name Ja'Quar McNair. He also attended Hart Middle School. He was stabbed to death in a train station. So basically, we're saying use your weapons for what's right. And the next page, I've gotten lots of communication strategies. I've got numbers and emails. I think it is an honor to be in a meeting with Councilmember White because this is something he needs to hear. I know he wants to hear it, and I like there's a lot of youth here, and we are explaining and displaying our opinions of what needs to happen in the community. I'm finished.
Can I add one little thing from that group? I'm gonna shut up.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I remember the youth asking if they can put something in place where they can actually help build their businesses, help support their businesses. The youth was actually interested in entrepreneurship and wondering if there's any classes or trainings that can support pushing their businesses and funding to fund the youth for different entrepreneurship programs. One young lady even have a photo booth, and she wanted to know how can she get in the mix of things and start setting her photo booth up, and in the name of changing community norms, to just show the community that our youth doing something different. We a whole different generation than y'all. One more little thing too is put the guns down and pick the gloves up. Somebody was talking about a boxing piece, like boxing teams, to get that stuff off their chest. So I think that's about it, just to add on. I hope you don't mind.
No, those all good ideas.
Nate, I wanted to also add from my group, Cheyenne left out the part of more policing. They wish to see more police in their neighborhoods and as they're walking to and from schools. They also mentioned that the family plays a really big role in influence. And so family members have to be more of a positive influence in order for them, because they said we're sponges. So we pick up everything that we see. So we need the community and our families to be more of a positive influence. Also, they also mentioned how money motivates the youth. Sometimes you're coming from households that don't have food, you don't have parents, you don't have clean clothes. It's a domino effect. One thing affects the other. And so they're saying, how can we get involved in things that will provide an incentive, a financial incentive for us to get the things that we need in the event that our homes don't have it. So that's it for me. I'm looking in the chat. I don't see anybody else from my group who went. Oh, Ramal and everybody else said drugs changes their mindset. Yes, we talked about weed. The question that was posed from one of the youth is, do you think weed changes the mindset? And my response to that was, any alcohol or drug can alter your mind. It's hard to test if you're half weed, and then we also have youth who suffer with anxieties and different things like that, where they feel like they need weed, and so we talked about mental health. So those are some of the things that we discussed in our group.
All right. Dayon, I think you wanted to say something real quick. Can you jump in? Then we'll go to the next group.
Yeah, the thing about the police, I don't know if you want to get poked. One, because I know me, not just, and I'm not even, I don't really think, but knowing the people I know and the people I hang around and stuff like that, when they say police, that's not good. No, they don't really act friendly to police. I'm gonna be honest, that's not something that they necessarily act kindly to. Seeing a policeman everywhere they go. Even me sometimes, if I see a policeman every time I'm walking down the street, I'm like, I don't know what's going on. Or I don't know if I really like this. I think what it should be is not a police, but more of a social police type thing. Someone, like I said this in my group, we said not just any type of police, a police who grew up how we grew up and understand where we come from. Like they know what it was like to grow up black and impoverished, stuff like that. So they know where it comes from. So instead of just running up to us, locking us up if they see us doing something wrong, instead of they seeing us doing something wrong, they put us to the side, walk with us. Come on, man. You know you're not supposed to be doing that, this and that. Like I know he'll come out and he'll play football with us, just having that genuine connection right there. just so like that, but not just any type of policeman. I don't think they should just throw police out on the street and think that's gonna work, because it's not gonna work.
I like what you said about
I just want to make sure we don't go into a big discussion here. So I want to let the next group report out, and then we'll probably have some opportunities just to have kind of a little bit more open discussion. So can we have the next group present?
I don't know if that was my group.
Why not, Jules?
Okay.
Let's make it your.
Okay, I'll make it my group. So, we were in the main room. I did not have any youth in my group. However, we did have some of the same sentiments. And so some of those are, really having and offering broader extracurricular, strong focus in the arts or business or agriculture, just something different. I think a consistent theme is what we saw is, really following students from, a younger age to high school, as, starting them off in elementary school and tracking them from middle school to high school, and making sure that they have those mentors in place. There was also some conversation about, offering some, alternative education, and really having those areas of focus be career driven. There was also an idea to introduce the concept of conflict resolution, and making that a prerequisite before students become teenagers. They're better able to manage how to resolve conflict, not only in school but outside in the community. Um, Another thing that we saw consistently was, offering wraparound, having a wraparound approach, and bringing some of the grassroots organizations into the schools who are already, educated on how to do this work, and helping students in this with those schools to kind of build an allegiance or build an alliance to help students. We talked about having more conferences and town halls that are, put together for students, and particularly students that are high risk, that some that are in the juvenile court system, those who are home and, ships. I know Miss Martin talked a lot about, and there was many people that agreed, is really the effectiveness of those mentors, and really having adults invest in students, not by showing up and checking in if they don't go to school, checking in, didn't make it, or popping up at school, popping up in their neighborhood, and really checking in on them. Another theme that we saw is that, the programs that once were are no longer. And so there needs to be, recreational space and just places for youth to be and take part in these programs and activities. And, and really not in seeing these programs stay. And so oftentimes what we see is that the government comes in and gets involved, and they don't follow through. And so the program might be started for 1 year, and then they come back the next year and they're defunded. Or, youth feel excited to come, and, there's just no long lasting commitment. And so that's really traumatizing to the students, and they don't feel safe in the hands of the adults because of that. There was also, the request to expose students outside of their community, getting them out of Ward 8, getting them to meet students, across the city, and getting them to meet students in DC and Maryland, to kind of build and create those relationships. And I think lastly is, once getting more recreation centers, and having the parents be involved with their students at those programs, to kind of, help with getting them, more engaged with their student, and, kind of implementing perhaps a parenting class. And that's it for me, or it for my group, unless someone from my group wants to speak up.
Thanks, Jules.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Can we go to your group, Wendy?
My group will be reporting out, but it will be Mr. David White.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to first of all take this opportunity to thank the council member for bringing all of us together so we share our spirit and our ideas with one another, and not only in the group, but together. And I'd like to thank Wendy Glenn for facilitating our room. We didn't have any young people in our group either, but it seemed apparent to me that Pastor John opened up our session saying that, especially put dates on ourselves really, but he and Derek Davis were talking about how they used to frequent the number 11 boys club, and it was the number 11 the boys club when it was there, and it was provided a whole lot of opportunities for those of us growing up here in the neighborhood during the 70s, 60s, 70s, and early 80s before it was shut. We also heard from Isaiah Timmons. She was talking about faith-based, as well as Wendy. Wendy was talking about faith-based. Isaiah was basically talking about how we can bring our children, especially those who claim the Muslim faith. Wendy was talking about, in general, faith-based organizations that were in the church, more structured youth clubs or whatever, because we more than anything else. And God knows, back in the 70s when we were growing up, we had more programs with a lot of less money than we have out here today. A lot of the things that we cling to in our youth are shuttered and gone. One person who really shocked our conscience was Dr. Hoskins. She was saying that if we're going to come up with programs, we should come up with the type of programs that are not only going to challenge the youth, but that will, give them a sense of purpose, elevate them, and create an atmosphere where most of all they'll feel as though the programs that they're involved in will benefit them throughout the rest of their life. And like Derek and Pastor John was saying, yeah, bring back the boxing gloves if we're going to mitigate some of this violence. If these people are going to be involved in that, we got to put down the guns and maybe pick up our violence. If you got babies, pick up your babies, but put the guns down. Find programs, and the main thing we were really talking about was finding dedicated people who have a sense of what it is they're trying to do to change the quality of life for a lot of young people. This pandemic has changed a lot of children, and a lot of adults for that matter. So I've seen Alzheimer's grow in the community over the last year. I've seen a lot of turmoil grow in the community over the last year because there's so much doubt and so much uncertainty. And if we can change that for our young people, starting at ages 8 to 12 when they're most impressionable, that'll make a difference. We got to catch them while they're young. If we can do that and instill in them that purpose, and then a program they can transition into, and from young adults to teens, because like Pastor John was saying, we used to go and hang out down at the art.
No, we have one more group from Tori. Tori, did you want to report out, or you had someone in your group to report out?
I actually want to let Mr. Michael Johnson, who's a 9th grader at KIPP Somerset, give the report. Mr. Johnson, are you here?
Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Michael Johnson. I'm 15 years old, and I go to KIPP Somerset College Preparatory. In our group, in our group, we talked about drugs, how it's not good for youth or anyone. We talked about the violence in some of our communities and how, police. I don't know if we have a lot of time, so I'm just gonna do one for now.
We have as much time as you'd like to report out, Michael.
Oh, okay. And in our group, we first talked about violence in our communities. Oh, I'm trying to turn my camera on, but it's not working.
Take your time, Lord, man. Take your time.
I'm trying to remember what everyone else said, but I know I said to stop violence in my community. It's not, I don't know if it's really going to stop, but it could lower the crimes and the violence. Like, we can clean our communities, plant flowers, cut the grass, clean up trash, even though it's not really yours. Put on some gloves, get a trash bag, and just pick up the trash to make the community look good, and you can feel good when you walk out your door and you see a nice, clean, cut grass. Sorry. We talked about police and teenagers. But the okay, what was his name? His name was Larry. Larry said that can you help me out, Ms. Tori?
I can. Larry basically talked about the distrust among police, as did you, Michael, and we also had Tati. They basically talked about the distrust among police and how when a police, first of all, the black and white issue, how police treat blacks compared to whites. Everyone sees that and sees, and that also, brings about distrust. But the one thing that really stood out among the group is that Michael, Larry, and Tati agreed that when a police officer, we have to change the communication between police and our youth, right? When a police officer approaches a young adult, male or female, they should approach them and communicate with them to find out if there's even an issue, right? If there's, without being confrontational, approach them without grabbing your gun, or approach them without, invoking fear. Approach them out of genuine concern, or just being able to communicate, because that in turn can help lessen the distrust that is among police officers right now. And Michael, again, really stressed that just having communication among the youth and police officers would be better. They also talked about, Michael, unless you want to continue, I just wanted to make sure we didn't leave out Tati's point about employment, having more employment that reaches beyond just a summer job, having yearly employment. And the council member was in our group, and he also asked, what type of job opportunities are young adults looking for? Because that helps to know how to help them, right? And they basically said that they just want jobs that, again, will help them year round, that will give them income to sustain their lifestyles and their selves. Some are helping take care of their entire family. How can they do that without employment? Also, having more rec centers, which the council member has been very diligent about bringing back to the ward, having more rec centers, but not only having a rec center, but having job readiness programs inside of the rec center, having more than just recreation, right? Having things that will help them move forward in their lives. So basically the violence, the police, the distrust among police, more recs, more employment opportunities, and having that line of communication between police officers and youth will help. Oh, and also the drugs, figuring out a way to combat drugs. Thank you.
All right. Can I say something really quickly, just about the employment, really quickly? The problem with
them. Come on screen, please.
Sure.
And we will recognize if your hands are up, so please know that we are taking those names as they come up, and we'll call on you.
And also, can we, before we go to open discussion, can we just have, I just wanted to do one thing before we go into open discussion. I wanted to thank Tori Tracy from Thurgood Marshall for being the youth to host and facilitate this meeting. Let's give her a round of applause for doing this on short notice and doing it very well.
Great job, great job.
Thank you, Tori. And I guess at this point, I wanted to go back to shoot it back to the council member, and then we could have open discussion. And primarily, we want to hear the young people first. So let the young people have an opportunity to say what they want to say, and then we can hear from the adults. So, Councilmember White.
So thank you, Nate. I'll wait to speak at the end. There's no use of me speaking that. I have to come back again, so I'll just regress, and we can go through the discussion real quick. But I want to be moderated and be meaningful, so we can take notes and close it out soon.
Delbon Hall Jr. Can you? Delbon.
I'm sorry. I do just want to make this one point, and I have another meeting that starts at 7:30. I'll be really quick, and then I'll let it go. And just because this is not a point that youth will
problem. Just join it.
Just really quickly, when youth get employment in homes that are receiving government assistance, the parents then have to inform DHS of that money, and it can impact the benefits that the family is already getting to sustain their family. So if we could find a way where we can put some type of system in place where youth can get paid, give it some type of threshold or max monthly, where they can get paid to help sustain themselves and it not impact their parents' benefits. Because they're youth. It's not a full-time job, it's a part-time job. It's not no real money, it's just a little bit of money. But the government will take your food stamps and take your TANF and tell you have to pay rent because your child is working a minimum wage job for 20 hours a week. So and then parents discourage employment to their youth. So yes, it's a good idea, but we have to big picture that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Preston. Thank you.
Thank you. So thank you, Ms. Preston. We appreciate that and hope you make it to your next meeting. So we'll now go to Delbon Hall Jr.
Thank you very much. So something that I realized, especially like listening throughout like this whole conversation, is that something that like the community and like whole needs to work on is like building a bond between the children and like the youth that are growing up in authority. Because something that I realized is a lot of kids like, and I understand, we have our, own emotions, we have our own feelings, we have what we like to do and what not to do. But a lot of kids will sometimes forget the fact that, their parents, they have, like, just like how we're saying we need cops who've grown up in the same situation. A lot of times we have parents who've grown up in the same situation. My mom, but before that, she was growing up. I don't even know what area she grew up in. It was a whole bunch of gun violence. And I realized that growing up, like, there would be things that she would tell me, and especially now that I really look back on it, I really wish that I just listened to like some of the stuff that my parents had told me. And a lot of kids don't really get this type of conversations. A lot of kids feel as though, like, I'm not sure like where this really comes from, but that they're like really like authority. Like they're don't want to do something. Now, if you don't want to do something, you don't have to do it. But you have to understand the difference between something that you want to do and something that you need to do. It's something that we need to educate our children on, if that makes sense. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Delbon. Tori Tracy.
One thing I wanted to say is that one thing I would like to incorporate is we just need people who care. In our breakout room, I was explaining how when I was at school, it was this boy and he had a bald spot and people were laughing at him, so he put a hat on. And the administrators was telling him to take the hat off, and they knew that he had a bald spot because it was there for days. And instead of trying to help them, they were letting the kids make fun of him and force him to take the hat off and pushing suspension on him. So I do think that we just need people who care. And one thing I want to talk about is mentoring programs. I think every school, we just need people who care basically. And we need mentor programs, somebody that students can talk to that's not a parent or administrator, like someone who is actually there for them. And one thing that I wanted to talk about specifically is, well, programs was a big thing. So one thing I want to talk about is entrepreneurship program. And because me myself, I have a business. My business is Tori's Photo Booth, and I think we need to help youth go into the world the right way and not be with a lot of debt and credit. So yes, I would like an entrepreneurship program, things just to help kids in life. So that's what I was saying about people who care.
Thank you, Tori. Now we'll move to Jemiah. Then we'll have Cheyenne, number 39, and Raleigh. So why don't we start with Jemiah?
I would just like to say is I know how we was talking a lot about like gun violence and stuff, but I want to always talk about like the young black girls or black girls my age that's going missing. I feel like we just let them go missing and not be solved because I feel like the police doesn't really care that they be going missing. I feel like they be like, okay, they runaways. Not all the time. Not all the time that these girls are runaways. I feel like that we need to stress that more. I feel like we shouldn't have to fear our life, like fear of being abducted because of how, stuff like that. I feel like we should like find a way for a lot of black girls or girls of color for not going missing in DC. Because I saw that a lot of our missing rates are going up extremely and nobody's talking about it. Or if we talk about it, we discredit them, talk about, well, them kids are being fast or they doing things they not supposed to do instead of like, oh my God, they really could be in trouble. I feel like we should do something more about that.
Thank you, Jemiah. Next we'll have Cheyenne.
All right, so this is regarding basically my whole age. I was told you're too young to do this, you're too young to do that. Basically, I know Mary Berry had provided the opportunity for youth to have summer jobs, which is a really good thing. And I'm not trying to alter the past. So basically, I know there's a lot of things that you're too young to do. I was wondering, is there a way that we can like I know most of my jobs are about maturity. If you're mature enough to do this and to do that, that's why it's 14 and up. I was wondering, do I have the power to bring the age a little lower, like 13 and up? Not just for my benefit, but for others' benefits. I know less people that want a summer job, but you have to wait till you're 14. We want to be proactive at the age where we're young. We're not trying to wait till we have the opportunity. I don't want to wait. I'm trying to do this now. That's what I want to bring to your attention.
That's a good point, Cheyenne. I'm not sure. I believe there's federal laws that govern when young people can begin to work, but I do think that there's something that we can do locally. It may not be employment. It may be a stipend. It may be something to that effect, but I do think you're onto something there. Good point. I believe number 39.
Yo, my bad. I just had my name real quick. Had to let it be known. So, one thing I gotta say, couple of like, I'm gonna go back to the thing, kind of like what it teaches. I think one of the good ideas is City Hall. What is that? What's that called? City. Man, what's them A's that be coming into the
City year. City year.
Yeah, city year. I say City Hall. My bad. So city year, that was a real good. I think that's a real good idea because I know my city year, they're all young basically. I love that I can talk to them. I feel more comfortable around them, feel more comfortable talking to them than I would with any adult. And that's another thing. I know it's just easier for me. My bad. It's just easier for me to talk to somebody who can relate to me even more than my parents. When there's something wrong with me or I have something to get off my chest, you won't catch me going to my father or my mother. First person I'll go to is my brother. I wouldn't go to my mother. And there's so many reasons why I wouldn't. And it's not that I don't trust them. It's just that I'm not comfortable doing it. It's just, and sometimes whether it's they're gonna take it the wrong way or they're not gonna believe me, they're just gonna brush it off. And it's not just parents; it's adults altogether. And I think one thing we should do is have more things where children are helping children and youth, because nobody knows what children want more than nobody knows what children want more than children do, because we know what we want. That's just what it is. And we know what each other, we can all relate to each other. We like, my friend, he'll come to me. Either all of my friends, they'll just come to me, be like, "Yo, okay, you on the phone with me? I gotta talk to you about something, this and that, this and that." And it's just easier for us to talk to each other and to do, and even to work with each other. It's easier for me to get something done when I'm with my friends than it is to get something done when I'm with my teacher. But that's just because it's easier. I don't feel all the pressure. It doesn't feel like it's something you're forcing me to do. It feels like something I can enjoy and do while still having fun, basically. Because, like, again, I'm still working on this. I don't know how hard this is going to be. Hopefully, not that hard. No, wow. But I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to set up this thing at least by the summer of 2022, where I feed the homeless during the summer. And I feel like it would be better if I was able to do it with my friends and don't have to worry about doing it with my parents and having all these restrictions on me, all this stuff. Of course, I'm gonna need to have. Of course, it's gonna need to be a base set of rules, but then just let me do what I gotta do. Like, let me do what I do, you know. And if I'm able to do it with my friends, I feel like it would be a lot more funner, and it would push me to do it more because I get to do it with my friends.
All right, and Riley.
Okay, hi, my name is Tracy Campbell, and I'm a member of 1DC, and I was wondering if it would help a lot if we could have we have legislation that we're presenting to the council members regarding Council to Rent campaign, Council to Rent coalition. And I was wondering that could be something to take pressure off of the parents. And also, I mean, I was listening to all these youth, and it's like my heart really goes out to them because I'm with let me see, Miss Senior DC. I'm with her court, Miss Congeniality, and we have a program going every Wednesday called Seniors Offering Unconditional Love, because I believe a lot of our youth need love, and it's a excellent program for all ages, and it's run by Miss Senior DC and Dr. Bruce Pennell. And one of the things is they talk about is transformation, and we learn things like love, like we never been hated, express ourselves like we have never been judged, affirm our desires until they become self-fulfilling prophecies, dream like we have never had a nightmare, energize our lives like our spirits have magical solar panels, reflect light like the sun is our mirror, and smile so hard that we blind the haters. And and each one of those letters stand for leaders. And if we could get our youth together and to heal, you know, I think it's a lot of stuff that all of us are going through. And anybody is invited. And if y'all need the Zoom link, I can give it to you. We meet every Wednesday at 2:00. And also, like, I would like a lot of people to join us for the Council to Rent campaign coalition, because I have testified to some of the council members about why it's important, and it'll decrease a lot of mental health issues, people who are concerned about uncertainty because of this pandemic, so.
So thank you so much. We appreciate that. When we make our comments, let's stick to the comments in terms of the questions that we have before us this evening.
Actually,
I see one additional hand.
I think we might be.
One additional hand. Nate, there's one additional hand.
Who's the additional hand?
Antonio Thompson.
Okay, Antonio. Antonio will be our last comment because we want to be respectful of everyone's time. We started at 6, and we want to be respectful of everyone's time. So, Antonio, you'll end this, and then we'll go to Councilmember White.
Okay, so I've been trying to explain, like, the whole gun violence situation. I don't think there's really ever a way we can stop it. I think we can have we try and control over it. With the whole I think it's mainly because people not having anything to do, whether it being jobs or activities. You know what I'm saying? It's like if you want us, it'll help if we did have jobs. Everyone's been saying if we did have jobs. And I know it has its ups and downs, but at the same time, it gives us something to do, or like activities. So I could say, even as like me, having a job, gives me something to do instead of going out and looking for something to do. There is a I heard someone talking about in my group where like kids need people to talk to and something like that. Another way for them to activity they can have. I do my music. I write. When I'm writing, recording, that's another way of me expressing my feelings. So if you put something like that in, so because everybody's different. If you have poetry club, if you want to have music club, something like that, everybody's different. But it's a way to express your feelings instead of them pushing them down inside. Everyone understand how you feel and what you're feeling like. So as like I said, there's to everything, but as long as we find something or an alternative to being bored and not doing anything, then we'll have we can actually try to control some of that gun violence and some of that boredom. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, we do. So thank you for your comment, and thank you for everyone that contributed. We're going to move to Councilmember White to close this out now.
Thank you, guys. I think this is the beginning of a fruitful conversation. I can't remember the last time we actually had dialogue. We actually heard from youth and young adults, and I think you guys did a phenomenal job of representing the voiceless, or those who may sing voices and may not feel like they have a voice. I think that's extremely important. And if you look back in history, it was the youth that changed the dynamics of our community to get us where we are today. And I thank you all. I look forward to building this on, and it makes me think that we should have this dialogue more often. I think that some of the things that we're not privy to or don't know, you guys know. And we have to, as adults, be able to take what you're saying into account as we make some important decisions affecting your lives every day. And I had the opportunity to go into 2 different groups, and I think that the voices were different, but the sentiments were the same. In fact, young people just feel like they're not heard, and they're not getting what they need, and feel like adults are talking down on them and just telling them what to do instead of understanding and listening. And so this is an opportunity for me to listen, but I feel like as a leader in this community, I need to listen more. So I'm excited. Even the input from the adults. I know this was an adult forum, and some adults talked a little bit more, but I think that all input is vital as we continue to build out this platform. And so I want to thank you all for joining us tonight. Stay plugged in and support the young people. I saw some of them put their businesses in the chat. We will be supporting them. If my staff can grab that and give it to me, I have a lot of followers on social media, about 70,000. So I would love to share y'all's information to my audience as well. But I think this is a great dialogue and great conversation in the beginning of a long relationship and a long movement that's going to empower youth all across the district that we don't even know exists right now and not even communicating with tonight. So thank you guys. I appreciate my staff and all those who added value to this meaningful conversation. God bless and good night.